Hello and welcome back to Coin Lady channel. I want to talk about what happens when the SEC authorizes an exchange-traded fund, ETF, for Bitcoin on the spot market, or perhaps more than one, and then claims that market participants will love it. This is consistent with the actions taken following the Coinbase IPO, you know? Years ago, Coinbase was accepted. After that, what transpired? Justice is served against Coinbase. Therefore, one must wonder, what gives legacy financing the impression that they would be safeguarded? Many of you have speculated that this is all an attempt to shield the current administration from challenge while new faces take their places, and it's possible that they are right. Perhaps things are all right with them. However, this is discussed in an article. A crypto fundamental specialist has claimed in a recent headline that the chair of the SEC has learned nothing about Ripple, XRP, or Foot. Also, I'm interested in reading that one since it addresses the same subject. A disturbing tendency for SEC is this, which you shared today, which ripples across the top lawyer rankings. What makes this intriguing is that they bring attention to remarks made by Stewart, the chief legal officer of Ripple's, during the entire incident. And strangely, millionaire Mark Cuban replied to a post by attorney John Deaton, among other remarks. The Shark Tank star Mark Cuban, I believe. And I will tell you what he said. In the end, though, he is drawing attention to the SEC's many mistakes and suggesting changes for the future. Next, I'd like to quickly mention a story from the Daily Huddle in which SEC Commissioner Hester Peirce criticizes the way her own office deals with the cryptocurrency business. I should preface this by saying that I come from absolutely no financial background. Do not take my financial advice as gospel. By the way, you shouldn't base your investment decisions on anything I say. I'm just a crypto fan who makes movies for fun on YouTube discussing various aspects of the industry. Once again, in the first piece titled Ripple's Top Lawyer Spots Troubling Pattern for SEC, as well as a number of recent posts on the X social media platform, Stewart has drawn attention to what he sees as discrepancies and shortcomings in the way the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission handles cases involving cryptocurrency. However, judges have repeatedly condemned the SEC for its actions and conclusions in the continuing legal battles involving different Bitcoin entities, so these remarks are rather surprising. Stewart has already posted this on social networking platform X, and it shows a disturbing trend. First of all, he has 4 bullet points, and it's great to have this mentioned. Let me tell you, whenever the SEC suffers a crushing loss, I revel in it. I hope you do, too. The SEC was found to have displayed hypocrisy by presenting contradictory reasons to the court rather than operating in a sincere devotion to the law, as stated in bullet point 1. That is the SEC me Ripple on July 12, 2020, exactly 1 year before XRP Victory Day, when we finally received legal clarification for XRP. However, that was a phrase about being loyal to the law. Because, as mentioned before, that is the quote that indicates they are being hypocritical by not acting on their FIFA pledge to uphold the law. That is a quote, and it is really contemptuous. Normally, you wouldn't expect a judge to be so contemptuous of a government agency through the normal channels of the legal system. In fact, it takes quite a bit of unusual behavior to inspire such scorn. The second bullet point is that the court has agreed with Coinbase that the SEC failed in its responsibility to reply honestly to their petition for crypto regulation in our Coinbase case. This year, it falls on June 6. The year 2023. That brings us to the third bullet point. The court concludes that the SEC's actions are unreasonable and capricious because of the inconsistent handling of similar items. On August 29, 2023, it was Grayscale v. SEC. Therefore, it is patently ridiculous that no spot Bitcoin ETF is available at this time. Even now, I think it's on the way. However, this film is not intended for that purpose. Therefore, I will refrain from discussing that. It is absurd is all I want to say. It ought to have taken place. As for the inconsistent treatment of comparable products, the court ruled as much. It becomes arbitrary and capricious after that. It's convenient, and the SEC's decision not to approve one is outside their authority at the moment. Bullet point 4 Court orders SEC to provide justification for the non-sanctioning of its alleged false and misleading statements made in court. Secretary as of November 30, 2023, Dropbox has the most recent version. For this reason, the setbacks and disappointments keep piling up. Kim Jong-un was boasting about the SEC's victories so far earlier this year. After that, it's all downhill from here. Not possible. The wind isn't blowing at all, dude. I won't bother reading the portions on your screen because Attorney John Deaton reposted it and referenced the most recent one from November. That is, however, a portion of what Attorney Deaton communicated or made public. Afterwards, he penned, "The SEC has been found guilty of lying by nearly every court that has heard their case in the past 3 years." He proceeded to tag Patrick McHenry. "Where is the subpoena?" the congressman asked. "It would be great to see that, wouldn't you agree?" Attorney Deaton is now interrupted by Shark Tank tycoon Mark Cuban. Plus, he just made a comment, and the voice of reason makes perfect sense in this situation. "Someone should go all Madonna on them," he says. So, of course, he's bringing up the Freedom of Information Act, a law in the USA that, in theory, should make government operations more open and transparent. Nothing is flawless, but it accomplishes the trick. The SEC is going to be quite stubborn, that much is certain. And we've seen that situation play out before. However, in the end, there are significant legal consequences if they refuse to release public materials that have been determined to be in the public domain through a Freedom of Information Act request and approval. Consequently, a FOIA request usually does succeed. It's only that there are things they can do to make this process take longer or shorter. Still, it's not an illusion. Thus, it is true when Mark Cuban argues that someone should go all out for you. To which I replied, yes, that's true, in response to Mark Cuban's post. Happily, that has been empowered oversight, but there is always more work that has to be done. And enable nonprofit supervision. They have been showcasing a wide range of their work ever since they first appeared. Yeah. For what amount of time now? Quite a few years have passed now. They've been in the game for a while now. Although they are relatively new, they have been involved in a significant portion of the SEC's activities. Recent years. Yeah, but that has already been done. Additionally, we would not have had access to a great deal of previously undisclosed material prior to the implementation of Empower's oversight. As a result, it is an actual phenomenon. This method is effective. Empower Oversight had success litigating FOIA requests versus the SEC. It can be done, Attorney John Deaton remarked, reposting the post in which he praised Mark with a 100 emoji. This FOIA madness needs to be accompanied with a public citizen coordinated, strategic, multi-pronged strategy. If somebody is interested in joining him, he gives them his email address. Stewart has already been reposted by Attorney Bill Morgan, who expressed gratitude for the summary. This action completely runs counter to the rules that govern the conduct of government entities in Australian litigation paradigm. It is highly unlikely that the SEC would comprehend them. As an example of proper and fair behavior, he read aloud from the Australian Legal Code, which states that the Commonwealth and its agencies must behave as parties to litigation with the utmost professionalism and propriety. This excerpt is from the Australian Legal Code's Appendix B, which deals with the direction of legal services. Every time you see that, you could assume it's the SEC. Not at all. Nobody on earth would ever assume that I was referring to the SEC if I said that. Why? Because those prickly little attorneys at the SEC are offspring of Satan. In flight, they resemble mythical beings with wings. Without any particular order, here is the Daily Huddle headline. To put it mildly, I'm relieved that Secretary Hester Peirce criticized her own agency's treatment of the cryptocurrency business. I'm relieved she did. In response to her agency's oversight of the cryptocurrency industry, U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission official Hester Peirce is once again going on the offensive. during my speech at this week's Policy Summit of the Blockchain Association. The 5 commissioners nominated by the SEC are pursuing a case that alleges the regulator is acting irrationally by pursuing enforcement actions in old cases. Yes, and she seems to get a lot of criticism, but I tend to agree with her. At least not to the best of my knowledge, this has not been made public. We will, however, be able to review the record to determine which commissioners decided to sue Ripple. According to Fox Business, Esther's handbag did not, although I haven't been able to verify this with any sources other than official records. From what I gather, though, she is a kind person. She's a decent person, you know. Plus, she failed to proceed with suing Ripple. To me, that's significant because, you know, if Jay Clayton weren't such a monster, we would have had the votes to stop this entire thing from happening. He was one of 5. Here's another comment from Extra Perks. Wait, are we really serious about trying to force all of these companies to leave the US? Well, we'll have to wait and watch what happens in the halls of Congress, but when that day arrives, we must be prepared with fresh ideas for our regulations. However, by the time we reach this stage, the extent to which the harm may be repaired will be clear. On the other hand, a lot of groundwork has been laid. A great deal of progress is taking on in other parts of the globe that, were it not for the SEC, would be taking place in the US. This is not some abstract idea, it has concrete foundations. When the internet first came out, this did not happen. Instead of just a little bit, the United States was the epicenter of that era's technological revolution. Because of these terrible people, there is now far less of it here. As a result, you start to wonder what kind of behavior they'll exhibit. I have a feeling that market participants will be fine when a spot Bitcoin ETF finally comes out. In general, I don't think the SEC will be very hard on typical financial spot Bitcoin ETFs. I could be completely mistaken, in fact, I probably would be, given that they are asset peroxide. Countless times, I'm not sure if you've heard me, but I have stated it. Their Bitcoin ETFs are smart, their sponsors are mythical beings, and their asset bricks are solid. Afterwards, the world's black rocks make an appearance, followed by Kim Jong-un's or just Sue's. Maybe, but will it be like the slope that Kim Jong-un's will face? Things like the amount of litigation in the loos that comes after that. Next, you have to wonder, is Kim Jong-un going to remain in power, given how long it will take for everything to start moving forward and the fact that we haven't discovered it to me? In general, will a new administration be in charge? Maybe, if that's the case, then maybe we won't witness what happens. However, if this is indeed the case, then let's stymie the crypto community in order to usher in the incumbents. You know, Attorney John Dean has this hypothesis, and he might be right, that if that's the real strategy, they won't be sued anyhow. Here we have a headline from the crypto basic specialist claiming that the SEC chair failed to gain any knowledge about Ripple, XRP, or FUT. In the end, they just cite and paraphrased the article's most important parts from Real Clear Markets. I'm not even going to bother reading it. For the sake of this video, it is superfluous. A man named Tyler wrote it, and it slams the SEC. However, on social media site X, John Dean's crypto law organization cites specific portions of this essay. Because it is on this same subject, I would like to share these quotations with you. What do you think will happen with this? I'm going to guess that once the spot Bitcoin ETFs are set up, you won't see anything, but I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments section. Everyone taking part in them is treated with a great deal of kindness. For whatever reason, administrative change, Kim Jong-un's lack of authority, the fact that it was always part of the plan, or the fact that the incumbents are now getting their cut, I'm going to assume that it won't happen. Perhaps I'm mistaken, but that's just for fun. From that piece Real Clear Markets, John Dean's crypto group posted the following comment. It appears that Gary Gensler has no intention of taking anything away from the market confusion caused by Clayton's activities, the conflicts of interest involving Hinman, the failure to investigate SPF, and the XRP case that was ultimately unsuccessful. As an example, consider the following scenario: the SEC authorizes spot ETFs, but then begin suing market players. This is similar to what happened when the agency approved Coinbase as an IPO in 2021, but then sued it in 2023, asserting that its original business plan was unlawful. It's a wild guess, but it fits in well with the SEC's disorganized and unpredictable track record. Who knows, maybe the SEC Ethics Office or the Inspector General will look into Clinton's conflicts of interest at some point. To what extent do his and Hinman's statements influence how the market values Ether? Just when spot ETFs are about to pop up? Yeah, good questions, the speaker said. Also in May. Perhaps the SEC will go after him once this occurs or when Bitcoin ETFs become visible. However, this could just be a hunch on his part. Perhaps I am being overly innocent here, perhaps I am acting like a naive little lamb. I need to know what you all think about this. I mean, it's not completely out there, but if you think the incumbents will probably face lawsuits or other forms of attack once this is legalized, then it's not completely out there either. Even while I don't believe that's likely, I could be completely mistaken. We've thought, oh my gosh, the SEC isn't going to go that far, so we know it's a possibility. I thought we'd seen that coming a long time ago, didn't we? And then they act in a way that is totally contrary to, and occasionally even counter to, what others would find interesting about them. They just can't resist. All these vile human beings have their egos. Thus, we shall observe. What I really need from you is your opinion. This is a weird world. Indeed, that is concerning. Yep, that's almost correct. Pattern emergence causes ripples to occur. That the SEC finds disturbing. Financial advisors aren't my specialty. Do not let anything I say influence your purchasing or selling decisions. Please like and subscribe my channel. See you later, bye.